Good morning, everybody. Today I am going to walk you through the installation of an SA88 52 millimeter big bore kit from Scooterarmy. You can find it at www.scooterarmymostlyofficial.com. There will be links throughout the video. Anyway, we're going to start from the beginning. I'm going to make a few assumptions. I'm assuming that you can get to the point that this motor is in on your own. I have removed all the cooling shrouds already, the carburetor, and the exhaust. You should be able to get to that point without too much trouble. And so we're going to go from there. I'm going to start with the disassembly. I'm going to try to take you through every step of the process. And hopefully after watching this, you will know how to install a big bore kit. And hopefully you'll get our big bore kit, the SA88. But this is a learning video, so choose the kit that's best for you. We don't discriminate. And good luck. If you have any questions, let me know. First step is we are going to remove the valve cover. There are 6 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. They are 8 millimeter. So we'll grab our 8 millimeter socket here and we'll get that taken off. All right, with those bolts out, we will take our valve cover off. I like to use the valve cover to hold those bolts so I don't lose them. So we'll put those 6 bolts in there and we'll set it aside. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to remove the tensioner. And the tensioner has 2 bolts holding it on and 1 bolt holding the tension. You want to loosen this bolt first, and I will show you why on reassembly. But essentially, if you don't loosen this bolt first, it'll be more difficult on reassembly. So we're going to go ahead and get that loosened. That is a 10 millimeter. I'm going to do that, and I'll be back. All right, let's go ahead and remove the tensioner. First, we're going to loosen this center bolt. And actually, we're going to go ahead and just take it right on out of there. There is a spring on there. Careful, it'll pop out on you. I'm going to go ahead and set that aside. That was a 10 millimeter. And then there are 2 8 millimeters that hold the tensioner in. Take those out. Okay, we got the bolts out. Let's go ahead and pull that tensioner. I'll show you this again on install, but you can go ahead and set this tensioner right now. And what you do is you push in on this and push that all the way in. And so we're going to set that aside. In the name of keeping the right bolts for the right things, I like to just put these right back on into this head. When we get to assembly, we'll take those out and put them into the new head, but that way you know exactly where they are. At this point, what I like to do is get those intake studs removed so that we can use them in the future here. Easier to do while the top end is still assembled. Many ways to do it. I like to use a pair of vice grips. Next thing we're going to do is remove these 4 nuts from the stud bolts so that we can take the cam out and the rocker holder. Again, those are 10 millimeter, 4 of them. Let's get her done. All right, we got those 4 bolts off. Let's go ahead and set those aside. And we can go ahead and pull the rockers. And we will set those aside. Take the cam out. So just kind of tilt it to the side here. Pull the cam. We got 2 more bolts to take out. The side bolts for the top end. There are 2 bolts over here. They're both 8mm. I'm going to go ahead and remove those 2, and then we can take the head off. All right, everybody. With these 2 bolts loosened now, go ahead and remove those. Set those to the side. Now we can remove our head. Bada bing, bada boom. Set that aside. Go ahead and pull the head gasket. This one seems to be a little bit stuck. We're not going to be reusing this anyway, but it's always nice to hold on to them. You want to be careful not to lose your chain. At this point, you can go ahead and pull the chain guide out of the bottom. Set it aside. Now the chain should just dangle there. Now we can go ahead and pull the cylinder. What I like to do is get that piston as close to the bottom as possible. So right about there is piston's bottomed out. All right, now we can remove the cylinder. Sometimes they're stuck on there pretty good to that base gasket. You might need to tap it a few times, rubber mallet, pry on it a little bit, but let's see how this one goes. Not bad. That one slid right on out. And again, careful not to lose the chain down into the bottom end. So there we go. We got the cylinder off. We're going to go ahead and set that aside. What we're going to do now is let's get this piston back up towards top dead center so that it's easier to remove the pin. You do want to be holding this chain anytime you're turning this, because the timing chain is on the crank. If you just let it hang there and do that, the chain will bind up. So I'm going to grab a pair of needle nose pliers and we'll get that piston off. Using a pair of needle nose pliers, we're going to go after the clip in there. And so you take your needle nose, you get right on that and give it a twist. And it should come right on out, which it did. With that clip out, you can take the piston, the pin out of the piston, and this is kind of hard to do while holding the camera, so I'm going to reset the camera up and I'll be right back. So we have the clip out on the other side. So all we need to do is just you can take a screwdriver or a bolt or whatever's clever and just kind of stick it in this side. And you can push that right on out. You only need to take the clip out on one side. We got it. It is out. We can now take our piston and set it aside. We got our little 39mm piston here. Set that aside, and we are completely disassembled. What you need to do at this point is clean up any gasket material that is still stuck on here. So I'm going to do that off camera. There's no sense in you watching me, but you can see there's quite a bit still stuck on there. So I'm going to go off camera. There's multiple methods to doing that. Just just don't scratch it all up. I mean, you can usually just use your fingernail to get these last little pieces off. For stuff that's stuck on there harder, you're gonna have to use another method. But for this one, it looks like it's gonna be pretty easy. So I'll be back after that's cleaned up. One thing I did forget to mention is you want to be really careful not to get a bunch of gasket material or dirt or anything in there. So you can take a clean towel, shove her in there while you're cleaning the gasket material off. That'll just prevent getting a bunch of gunk in your bottom end that you don't want in your bottom end. There we go. Now I'm going to get it cleaned all off. And I will come right on back as soon as it is cleaned off. Thanks for sticking around. Another thing that I should mention is you need to save these dowel pins. Sometimes they will stay in the block and other times they'll be in the cylinder. There will be two of them, and they'll be in this case it stayed in, so I'm going to take it out and I'm going to set that cylinder back aside, and then the other one is still right here in the block. You can leave that one there, that's fine, but I'm going to go ahead and put this one back on and stick it in. That's just for alignment when you put the new cylinder on there. All right, and there we have it. We've got all the old gasket material cleaned off, and it is ready for new top end install. Stay tuned. Check out the part 2 video where I go through every step in detail of installing the SA88 52mm big bore kit onto your 139 QMB. Thanks for watching.